I used to believe love was simple. If you trusted someone enough, they would never hurt you. That's what I thought. When people saw us together, they called us perfect. They said we looked happy. They said I was lucky. And maybe I was. At least, that's what he wanted everyone to believe. Every morning, our day started the same way. A good morning message waiting for me on my phone, even before my eyes fully opened. A smile when I walked into the kitchen. A cup of coffee just the way I liked it, almost like he knew me better than I knew myself. A promise whispered in passing, as if we were building a life together brick by brick. And for a while, I believed it. I believed that all love stories could be simple, that they could last without drama, without heartbreak. But sometimes, the scariest lies don't scream. They don't explode in your face. They whisper. A soft, subtle sound that crawls under your skin until you start noticing things you can't ignore. It started with small things. A phone lying face down on the table. A smile that didn't reach his eyes. A sudden, unexplained need for privacy where there had never been any before. A text he'd quickly hide when I walked into the room. Little excuses, innocent at first, but stacking together like tiny cracks in glass. At first, I told myself I was overthinking. I told myself love means trust. I told myself these were just coincidences. That the love we shared was real and nothing could shake it. But deep down, something felt wrong. A feeling I couldn't shake. A whisper of doubt that grew louder each day. I started noticing the things I had ignored before. The way he laughed too loudly when covering a call. The way he avoided eye contact just a second too long. The little hesitation when I asked a simple question about his day. And then there were the nights. Those long nights when he worked late or went out with friends and returned home with a tired, guilty smile. I would lie awake, staring at the ceiling, questioning myself. Was it me? Was it something I said? Or was it him? Once doubt enters your heart, it never leaves quietly. It seeps into every thought, every moment, every interaction. It poisons the things you once took for granted. The hugs that felt warm suddenly feel heavy. The words that once brought comfort now sound hollow. I didn't know it yet, but my life was already splitting into two parts. Before I knew the truth. A life full of smiles, love, and trust. A world where I believed he would never hurt me. And after everything shattered, a life I couldn't yet imagine. A world where lies had crept in, quietly. And betrayal waited just around the corner. I wanted to cling to the old life. I wanted to believe that what I felt was enough to keep us safe. But love, I would soon learn, isn't always enough. And as I walked through that life, unaware of the storm approaching, I realized something chilling. Happiness can be an illusion. And the people we trust most are sometimes the ones hiding the darkest secrets. Little did I know, everything I thought was real was already beginning to crumble. People think betrayal arrives loudly, like a storm, like an explosion. But mine arrived softly. It didn't hit me all at once. It crept in, quiet as a shadow. Slowly, subtly. Little moments, almost insignificant at first, that began to nag at the back of my mind. Late nights turned into excuses. He worked late, he had meetings, he was busy with friends. And I told myself, again and again, that it was fine. I trusted him, I wanted to trust him. But messages turned into secrets. His phone buzzed at odd hours. He would hide it or walk away. And every time I asked what was wrong, he smiled that same smile. The one that always made me believe him. Questions turned into tension. Even asking where he'd been felt like walking on thin ice. And every time I asked, he answered too quickly. Almost rehearsed. Almost too perfect. Every time I asked who he was texting, he laughed. A laugh that didn't reach his eyes. A laugh that made my stomach twist. "Why don't you trust me?" he asked one night, casually, leaning against the kitchen counter. Those words, they felt like a knife. Because trust was the only thing I was still holding on to. And here it was, crumbling in his hands. I realized something then. I couldn't just ask anymore. I couldn't rely on words. Because lies can sound like truth if spoken convincingly enough. So I started watching instead of asking. Listening instead of reacting. Observing without giving myself away. I noticed patterns. The way he held his phone, a certain way when someone texted him. The way he suddenly remembered urgent work the moment I walked into the room. The way he avoided mentioning names or places. And that's when I noticed something terrifying. He wasn't scared of losing me. Every lie, every secret, every excuse, it wasn't born from fear. It was born from confidence. Confidence that I would never leave. Confidence that my trust was unconditional. Confidence that the bond I thought we shared could be broken without consequence. And that confidence, it came from deception. It was the moment I realized I wasn't imagining things. I wasn't being paranoid. I was awake to a truth I didn't want to see. And yet I stayed. I pretended I didn't notice. I smiled, laughed, and acted as if nothing had changed. Because I needed time. Time to understand. Time to gather the pieces. I began replaying old conversations in my head. Small inconsistencies I had brushed off suddenly screamed. Little contradictions that didn't make sense before now fit perfectly into a puzzle I didn't want to complete. I remembered nights when he said he loved me. And yet, in the quiet moments, I felt a distance I couldn't explain. The warmth was fading. The trust was slipping. And the mask he wore was beginning to crack. I knew, deep down, that the day would come when I would see the full truth. The day when all his little deceptions, all his quiet betrayals, would be laid bare before me. And even though I didn't yet know how or when it would happen, I felt the first tremor of what was coming. The first crack in everything I had believed. Because sometimes betrayal doesn't announce itself with fire. Sometimes it walks silently into your life and waits until it has you completely in its grip. That was the first crack. And it was only the beginning. The truth didn't come in anger. It didn't come in shouting. It didn't come in confrontation. It came from silence. One evening, the kind of quiet where the world seems to pause, he left his laptop open. Just for a moment. I wasn't searching. I didn't plan to see anything. I told myself I would leave it alone. But then the screen lit up. And there it was. Her name. At first I froze. My body refused to move. My fingers, my legs, my heart, all seemed to stop at once. A cold rush swept over me, creeping from my chest to my fingertips, leaving me paralyzed. I wanted to look away. I wanted to pretend I hadn't seen it. But curiosity, or maybe some darker need for truth, kept me rooted there. I opened the messages. Not once. Not twice. Again and again. Each word cut deeper than the last. Promises he had whispered to me in the quiet of our apartment. Now rewritten for someone else. Good morning, beautiful. Can't wait to see you tonight. I love you. Each message a dagger in disguise. The conversations flowed naturally, easily, the same way he had always spoken to me. And suddenly I understood. The warmth, the smiles, the laughter I had cherished. They weren't mine. Not entirely. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I didn't even yell his name. I felt empty. It was the kind of emptiness that presses down on your chest and makes the air feel heavy. A hollow silence that swallows the world around you. The moment betrayal truly hurts is when it cuts so deep that the body shuts down. The mind tries to reason, but the heart simply knows. I replayed his words in my head. Every lie now felt visible. Every memory I had clung to tarnished. How long had this been going on? Months, weeks. How many smiles, how many whispered "I love yous" had been given to someone else behind my back? Questions flooded me. Questions without answers. And then a strange calm came over me. Not relief. Not forgiveness. Not even clarity. But something inside me shifted. The part of me that had been trusting, naive, hopeful. It hardened. It sharpened. It focused. Because betrayal doesn't just hurt. It awakens something. A raw, dangerous awareness. The realization that love isn't always what it seems. That trust can be a weapon if given blindly. And that some people are not who you think they are. I stayed there for what felt like hours, reading and rereading the words. Trying to understand. Trying to hold onto the pieces of my own heart. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I felt the quietest, coldest rage. Not the kind that burns for a moment and fades, but the kind that waits. The kind that watches. The kind that plans. And in that silence, something inside me changed. I realized then that life, as I had known it, was over. Everything I thought was true was. And the path forward, the path to justice, to closure, to revenge, it had already begun. Because once you see the truth, you can't unsee it. And once betrayal touches your life, you either break or you rise. And I would rise. I didn't confront him. Not yet. Because anger makes mistakes. And I couldn't afford to make any. Every part of me wanted to scream. To throw the truth in his face. To ask him how long he had been lying to me. But I stayed quiet. I swallowed the pain. I locked it deep inside my chest. And I told myself one thing over and over again. Wait. So I smiled. I laughed at his jokes. I asked about his day. I cooked dinner like nothing had changed. From the outside, we looked the same. Normal, happy, untouched. But inside, every "I love you" he said after that moment felt like a lie echoing in my ears. The words sounded rehearsed. Empty. Like lines from a script I had already seen behind the scenes. Sometimes, I wanted to believe him anyway. I wanted to pretend that maybe I had misunderstood. That maybe there was another explanation. But truth doesn't loosen its grip once it takes hold. Here's the part no one talks about. Revenge isn't born from rage. Rage is loud, messy, short-lived. Real revenge, the kind that lasts, is born from control. And slowly, painfully, I was learning how to control everything. I stopped reacting. I stopped questioning him out loud. I stopped giving away my emotions. Instead, I watched. I listened to his tone when he talked on the phone. I noticed the days he came home later than usual. I paid attention to which excuses he reused and which ones were new. I started saving messages. Not screenshots, patterns. Times. Dates. Repeated lies told in different ways. I wrote them down in my mind like a quiet record. I didn't need proof to expose him yet. I needed understanding. Because knowledge is power. Empowerment, protection. I wasn't collecting truth to hurt him. I wasn't plotting chaos or humiliation. I was collecting truth to protect myself. There were moments when the pain almost slipped out, when my voice trembled, when my eyes burned. But I reminded myself, he didn't deserve to see me break. Not yet. He thought I didn't know. He thought I was blind. He thought I was safe to deceive. That false sense of safety, it was the most dangerous thing he had. And every day I stayed calm. Every day I smiled while my heart screamed. I was taking something back from him. Control. I learned how easy it was for people to underestimate silence. How dangerous it is to assume that quiet means weakness. But silence doesn't always mean surrender. Sometimes it means preparation. And as I lay next to him at night, staring into the dark, I realized something that changed me forever. I was no longer waiting for the truth. I already had it. Nah. I was waiting for the right moment. He thought he was smart. He thought he had balance. A double life held together by excuses, confidence, and the belief that he was in control. He believed he knew exactly what he was doing. That he could lie, smile, and move between two worlds without consequence. What he didn't know, what he couldn't see, was that betrayal makes you careless. At first, he was careful, precise with his words, consistent with his stories. But comfort is dangerous. And he became comfortable. Too comfortable. He started repeating excuses, reusing the same reasons for being late, forgetting which lie he had told on which day. Sometimes he said he was with friends, only to later mention he'd been working late. Other times, he'd talk about conversations that never happened. And each time I stayed quiet. I didn't correct him. I didn't question him. I watched. I noticed the pauses before his answers, the way he avoided details, the way his voice shifted when he felt too confident to be careful. He started slipping, contradicting himself in small ways he thought I wouldn't catch, forgetting his own stories, changing timelines without realizing it. And every mistake he made added weight to what was coming. He thought my silence meant ignorance. He mistook my calm for weakness. He believed I was exactly where he left me, waiting, trusting, unaware. But there's something cruel about deception. It doesn't just break the person being lied to. It blinds the person doing the lying. And he was blind. The saddest part, he still looked at me like I belonged to him, like I was something he owned, something permanent, something that would always be there no matter what he did. There was no fear in his eyes, no guilt strong enough to stop him, only entitlement. That quiet assumption that my love was guaranteed, that my loyalty was unbreakable, that I would forgive anything. That entitlement was the final reason I knew something had to change. Because betrayal is painful, but being taken for granted, that's unforgivable. I realized then that walking away quietly would give him peace. It would let him believe he had won, that he had gotten away with it. And I couldn't allow that. Not out of hatred, not out of anger, but out of respect for myself. I didn't want chaos. I didn't want revenge fueled by rage. I wanted truth. I wanted accountability. I wanted him to see the damage his confidence had caused. And as he continued living his double life, unaware that the mask was slipping, I knew the balance he thought he had was already collapsing. All that remained was the moment it would finally fall. He thought he was smart. He thought he had balance. A double life held together by excuses, confidence, and the belief that he was in control. He believed he knew exactly what he was doing, that he could lie, smile, and move between two worlds without consequence. What he didn't know, what he couldn't see, was that betrayal makes you careless. At first, he was careful, precise with his words, consistent with his stories. But comfort is dangerous. And he became comfortable, too comfortable. He started repeating excuses, reusing the same reasons for being late, forgetting which lie he had told on which day. Sometimes he said he was with friends, only to later mention he'd been working late. Other times, he'd talk about conversations that never happened. And each time I stayed quiet. I didn't correct him. I didn't question him. I watched. I noticed the pauses before his answers, the way he avoided details, the way his voice shifted when he felt too confident to be careful. He started slipping, contradicting himself in small ways he thought I wouldn't catch. Forgetting his own stories. Changing timelines without realizing it. And every mistake he made added weight to what was coming. He thought my silence meant ignorance. He mistook my calm for weakness. He believed I was exactly where he left me. Waiting, trusting, unaware. But there's something cruel about deception. It doesn't just break the person being lied to. It blinds the person doing the lying. And he was blind. The saddest part, he still looked at me like I belonged to him. Like I was something he owned. Something permanent. Something that would always be there no matter what he did. There was no fear in his eyes. No guilt strong enough to stop him. Only entitlement. That quiet assumption that my love was guaranteed. That my loyalty was unbreakable. That I would forgive anything. That entitlement was the final reason I knew something had to change. Because betrayal is painful. But being taken for granted, that's unforgivable. I realized then that walking away quietly would give him peace. It would let him believe he had won. That he had gotten away with it. And I couldn't allow that. Not out of hatred. Not out of anger. But out of respect for myself. I didn't want chaos. I didn't want revenge fueled by rage. I wanted truth. I wanted accountability. I wanted him to see the damage his confidence had caused. And as he continued living his double life, unaware that the mask was slipping, I knew the balance he thought he had was already collapsing. All that remained was the moment it would finally fall. I didn't want chaos. I didn't want shouting matches or broken moments that could never be taken back. I didn't want tears in front of people who didn't understand. And I didn't want to become someone I wouldn't recognize afterward. I wanted truth to speak louder than anger. Because anger fades, truth stays. So I planned carefully. Not loudly. Not impulsively. But quietly with patience. No shouting. No drama. No public humiliation. Just exposure. I understood something important then. The strongest kind of revenge doesn't raise its voice. It lets reality do the damage. I began thinking in steps instead of emotions. Every decision measured. Every reaction controlled. I asked myself one question again and again. What will hurt the lie without hurting me? I stopped imagining arguments. Stopped replaying confrontations in my head. Instead, I imagined silence. Stillness. The moment when words would no longer be necessary. I waited. Not out of fear, but out of precision. I waited for the right moment. A moment where he felt safe. A moment where he believed everything was under control. A moment where his guard was completely down. Because people are most honest when they feel untouchable. I watched him grow more relaxed. More confident. More careless. He smiled more. Joked more. Acted like nothing could ever go wrong. That confidence, it made him predictable. I didn't rush. I didn't interfere. I let him build his own illusion. Because when someone thinks they've won, that's when they're weakest. I imagined his face when the truth finally surfaced. Not anger. Not fear. Shock. The kind of shock that comes when the ground disappears beneath your feet. When excuses no longer work. When silence becomes louder than any argument. And through all of this, I kept reminding myself, this wasn't about revenge for revenge's sake. It was about closure. It was about taking back control. It was about making sure the truth stood where lies once lived. I wasn't waiting for courage. I already had that. I was waiting for timing. Because timing is everything. And when that moment arrived, when everything aligned perfectly, he wouldn't just hear the truth. He would feel it. And there would be nothing he could do to stop it. He tried to explain. His words stumbled out, clumsy and desperate. He tried to justify. Wait, I can explain. Every excuse he had rehearsed over months. You're misunderstanding. He tried to shift the blame, telling me it wasn't as bad as it looked. That somehow I had imagined things. But betrayal sounds weak when it's finally exposed. The weight of all his lies, all the deceit I had uncovered, it made his voice sound hollow. It made his anger seem small. It made every excuse meaningless. I didn't argue. I didn't yell. I didn't beg him to explain himself. I stood up, and I walked away. The silence behind me was louder than any confrontation could have been. The look on his face, the sudden absence of control, the realization that I had already reclaimed my power. It was the punishment he never saw coming. That moment shocked everyone, not because of what I did, not because I shouted or exposed him publicly. No, it shocked them because of what I refused to do. I refused to beg. I refused to cry. I refused to stay. And that refusal was stronger than any confrontation, any argument, any tears could have been. People often underestimate the power of restraint. They confuse loud emotion with strength. But strength, real strength, lives in calm, in dignity, in the quiet act of choosing yourself over someone who has betrayed you. He had spent so long thinking he controlled everything. He believed my love, my trust, my loyalty were permanent, untouchable. But in walking away, I became untouchable instead. I didn't need revenge fueled by anger. I didn't need to humiliate him. I didn't need anyone else to witness it. The truth, fully seen, fully understood, was enough. And in that silence, I finally felt free. Free from the weight of lies. Free from the constant doubt. Free from a love that had been taken for granted. Sometimes the loudest justice comes from doing nothing at all, except taking your own power back. And as I walked out of that room, I realized something I had never fully understood before. You don't need someone to change to heal. You just need to choose yourself. News travels fast. Not lies. Not rumors. Not the stories people want to believe. Truth. The kind of truth that hits quietly at first, then grows until everyone around you can't ignore it. People began noticing. Not immediately, not in whispers, not in gossip, but slowly, in glances, in questions, in the way they spoke about him when he wasn't around. They saw him differently. The charming, confident man they once admired suddenly seemed smaller, vulnerable, exposed. Not because I destroyed him, not because I sought to humiliate him, but because he revealed himself. All the arrogance, all the entitlement, all the lies he had hidden behind his smiles and excuses, now laid bare for everyone who knew him. I watched from a distance, not with hatred, not with gloating, but with quiet relief. And then I realized something. Revenge didn't bring me happiness. It never does. Revenge is fleeting. It burns bright in the moment, then fades, leaving emptiness in its wake. What gave me peace, what gave me joy, what gave me strength, was freedom. Freedom from doubt. Freedom from lies. Freedom from the constant weight of betrayal. Freedom from someone who thought they could control my love, my trust, my life. I didn't need to prove anything to him. I didn't need to fight. I didn't need to beg anyone else to see the truth. Because the truth always speaks for itself. And as I walked through my own life again, clear-eyed, calm, and stronger than before, I realized that true justice doesn't always come from punishment. It comes from reclaiming yourself. When someone betrays you, they steal your trust. They steal your innocence. They try to make you doubt your worth. But you don't have to let them keep it. You don't have to beg. You don't have to shout. You don't have to cry. All you have to do is walk away. Stand tall. Hold your head high. And let freedom, your own freedom, be the final statement. And in that freedom, I found something I hadn't felt in a long time. Peace, strength, and the quiet satisfaction of knowing I had not just survived, but risen. Betrayal teaches you something painful, but powerful. It leaves scars you can't hide, questions you can't ignore, and a silence that can feel deafening. But it also teaches clarity, awareness, strength. Not everyone deserves access to your heart. Not everyone is worthy of your trust. And not every love is meant to last. Sometimes, the hardest lesson is realizing that protecting yourself is not selfish. It's survival. It's wisdom. And here, another truth no one talks about. Revenge doesn't mean hurting someone back. It doesn't mean destroying them, exposing them to shame, or humiliating them in public. Those are moments of temporary satisfaction. They're loud, messy, fleeting. The strongest revenge, the kind that truly leaves an impact, is choosing yourself. It's the courage to walk away when they expect you to stay. It's the strength to remain calm when they expect you to break. It's the power of dignity when they hope to see you crumble. If you're listening to this, and you feel betrayed, and your heart aches from someone's lies, remember this. You don't need to scream to be strong. You don't need hate to heal. And you don't need revenge to win. Because the moment you walk away with dignity, with self-respect intact, with clarity in your mind and peace in your heart, you've already won. You've already left them speechless. And that is a power no betrayal can ever take away. Sometimes the quietest victories are the most devastating. And the strongest hearts are the ones that choose themselves, even when it hurts the most. So if betrayal has touched your life, let it teach you. Let it strengthen you. And above all, let it remind you of your worth. Because no lie, no betrayal, no deception can ever diminish the power of a soul that refuses to be broken. And in the stillness, after the lies, after the pain, you will find yourself stronger, wiser, free,